heck? What the heck is this? What is this? Heck no, I'm not driving that.
So close. Alright guys, now, I don't like this stuff. I do not like it. Once this is done, I will not be using this stuff anymore because I'm just having so many issues with it, guys. I don't know why. It's just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But we got to use it up, and I got this mixed up. So I'm going to show you guys how to make your own spider farmer pot. I already got them marked. Plants are 12 days old. Now, they've just got water, guys. You'll be good. Well, no, sorry, I gave them one feeding of 800. But they'd be good all this time. You could just give them water. Now, this is like 50.
Oh,
well,
I see the
first
real
things
fish
first,
in
let's
there.
do the pot here. So I'm going to show you guys. I left one blank. I left one totally blank. I'll speed up the moving parts. So, normal 2-gallon pot from Canadian Tire, right? And then I drill the holes in the bottom. Drill. Four holes is good enough. Now, to prevent algae, I tape them. I'll speed this part up, obviously. What am I doing? It doesn't matter which side I flop it to. It's gonna do the same thing, dum-dum. Oh, man. If you can't laugh at yourself, then... well, I don't know. You can laugh at it. Oh, wait. I'm a dum-dum.
What are they doing?
Peas.
Oh, that.
Alright, it's November 16th, 2024. We've got a weather
That's
update
the
for
next
you.
one.
Starting off with Tropical Storm Sarah. It doesn't look very intense right now, does it? That's because it's not. There's not a lot going on down here. It's not strengthening. It's probably not going to reach hurricane intensity. But it is bringing about some flash flooding, some pretty significant impacts to our folks down here in Central America, especially in Honduras and eventually over there towards Belize. Thankfully, this one is really not causing many headlines. It's not causing many headaches. And the threat for our friends up here along the Gulf Coast of Florida also continues to decrease. Here's the latest cone from the National Hurricane Center. You can see it's a tropical storm right now, but as soon as Sunday, it'll be a depression over portions of Mexico here. It is still going to make it back out over into the Gulf of Mexico. And the Gulf of Mexico is still warm enough to support a hurricane. In fact, it's warm enough to support a strengthening hurricane. However, we don't think that that's going to happen, mainly because of a significant amount of wind shear that is present over the Gulf of Mexico. Remember, hurricanes are big, scary storms, but they're little babies whenever it comes to this wind shear thing. It's
Might
like
as well
the
get it,
kryptonite
guys.
of hurricanes. They can't deal with any of it, even the smallest amount will a lot of times tear apart a developing hurricane. So I think that what's going to happen here is the storm's going to get out over the Gulf of Mexico, and don't get me wrong, it's going to try to pick up strength, it's going to try to pick up intensity. That energy over the Gulf of Mexico is going to be available to the storm, but it's going to get caught up in a big trough here, and it is going to eventually just become part of that, and it's not going to be a system of its own. It's just going to kind of add moisture and energy into another system that will be impacting a lot of the U.S., but not necessarily in the form of a hurricane or a tropical system here. So thankfully, I think that the impacts from Sarah here in the U.S. are going to be minimal. However, anytime we have tropical cyclone tracks that look like this, where they're pointing towards the U.S., we've got to pay attention to it because things can change, of course, and that's what we'll be keeping an eye on as we go forward. Let's take a look at Sarah here on the GFS. As I push this into the future, you can see it really falls apart, especially after it starts making more contact with land. That's another kryptonite for tropical systems. They don't like being over land very long, and this one's going to take the farthest possible track
What's an
across,
album?
the Yucatan Peninsula that it could possibly make. So it's going to have plenty of time to continue to fall
Daddy,
apart.
what
And
is
then
an
looky here, we've got
album?
a big trough coming down into Mexico in the Four Corners
What's an
region of the
album,
United
Daddy?
States. It's going to eject up over Texas into the
Album.
central U.S., and it's going to pick up the energy from that cyclone.
What is
and
an
really
album,
stretch it out
Daddy?
and not allow it to take advantage of that Gulf of Mexico heat like we were just talking about. It's instead going to add some moisture and some energy into the overall rainfall, system that's going to be happening here across the eastern U.S., and it's not really going to be that much of a big deal, I don't think. Things could change, but that's the trajectory right now. Really, the big story here is going to be the trough, okay? This right here is going to be a much bigger deal for most of us than the tropical storm, so that's what we're going to talk about right now. Sunday, November 17th. This is tomorrow. It's a slight risk of severe weather thanks to that trough. We're going to have lots of cold air coming in inside of the trough, meeting up with that warm Gulf moisture right here in the middle. We're going to have big-time storms forming in the afternoon and evening around Fort Stockton and Midland, moving east up towards Abilene and Wichita Falls and Fort Worth. And then as we go into the day on Monday, that's going to continue to move east and probably be a pretty dangerous squall line from about Oklahoma City down to Dallas Monday morning. And then the threat will move on east into Arkansas and Louisiana.
Which one
but it's likely not going to be
has the turbo?
as strong in that portion of the storm as it is back here. So here's what the radar could look like as we go farther and farther into the future. You can see things are really quiet right now, and they're going to continue to be quiet. Precipitation is going to pick up over here in the Pacific Northwest. We have a ton of winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories right now, especially for areas above 2,500 and 4,000 feet, as this is going to bring about 5 to 15 inches of snow for various places in the Cascades and the Intermountain West, and also probably a significant amount of rain along the coasts of Oregon and Washington. But you can see where the energy really starts to pick up here on Sunday around 4 p.m. We start to see precipitation breaking out in New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma. It's likely not going to be severe at this point, but probably in the late evening, things are going to start getting a little bit more interesting, especially with the storms that form down here between Midland and Odessa, as they're going to be picking up on a lot of that wind shear. And I think that when these storms first start forming, they're going to have a really good chance of producing some tornadoes. Not a really good chance, but a better chance than the rest of the progression. So there's a little bit of a tornado risk. We're going to have intermittent blizzard conditions, especially in the higher elevations back here in New Mexico. We're going to have more snow coming into Idaho and Montana as well. And then storms are eventually going to make it into the Oklahoma City and Dallas, Fort Worth regions probably later in the day on Monday. This is 7 a.m.
I'm trying to get like a back. I'm trying to get like a back trailer, like a
Oklahoma
truck.
and Dallas along the I-35
For a
corridor there. And I think that the main threat's going to be wind. That could change as we get more, high resolution data, and as we get closer, we'll let you know if anything changes there. But this is definitely looking like a wind event to me. Moving farther into the future, this is going to affect, more than just Oklahoma City and Dallas, right? As we go into Monday, the rain's going to kick up here in Iowa, Nebraska, up into Minneapolis. There's going to be a line of showers and some embedded thunderstorms that goes all the way down the Mississippi River Valley. We're going to have more snow moving into the Pacific Northwest as well, especially as we go into Wednesday. A much bigger system's going to be moving in over here. Some more thunderstorm activity is going to be possible in the southeast Northeast during this time. But look at this. Big time cold air trying to punch into the central United States. It's going to get much colder than it's been in Kansas City, in Denver, maybe even all the way down there towards Oklahoma City and St. Louis. As we go into Wednesday and Thursday, there's going to be chances of snow in Minneapolis. And look at this. There's going to be chances of snow in Cleveland. Yeah, now it's starting to sound like November, right? It's starting to sound like November. We've got this big trough, this big lobe of cold air that's going to be kind of catching itself up against the Appalachian Mountains here and bringing a real shot of snow to the Ohio Valley. Look at this, Thursday, November 21st. We might have intermittent heavy snow showers in southern Ohio, eastern Kentucky, and West Virginia. And this has me super excited. I love snow. And this is where I live, if you didn't know. You know, I'm dusting off my Yalameter right now. However, you know, it's too soon to do a snowfall forecast right now, but this looks like a higher elevation kind of thing right now for the most part. I think that we're going to have intermittent periods of heavy snowfall over here next week, but a lot of that's going to melt on impact, especially in the valleys, and especially up there where we don't even have mountains up there towards Columbus, Ohio. But there will be a couple places that get some snow out of this, I think, especially up there above 2,000 feet, and this is the next thing that I'm going to be paying attention to, because this could actually turn into a pretty big storm system. You know, this is like a signal for something that could eventually impact the Northeast, or maybe even just more of the Appalachian Mountains, as this is a very large and impressive storm system. The waters out here in the Atlantic are still very warm, so this just has my eye. So I'm watching this and seeing how the developments go here. But right now it just looks like a big plunge of cold air into the eastern portion of the U.S. and a little bit of snow. Right behind that, though, is more dry air and more warmth. You can see that very well here on the GFS. We've got a big plume of warmth moving